Next speaker of the session will be Mr. Vivek Roy, Head OT/IT Integrations, Digital Industry, Siemens Limited, and he'll be speaking on Data Meets Defense, the OT transformation journey. Please welcome him on the stage.
Thank you very much. Please, after you. So the screen suddenly goes blank. Okay, she's up. All right. So let me check the time. So we are still in good morning. Good morning. Fantastic. So before we talk of AI, let me figure this out first. The down arrow, right? To shift to the next slide? Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Thank you so much. So, it's been a fantastic time we've had here. I think all of us are talking about AI. I am probably the odd man out that doesn't have AI on this slide. Yeah. So I'm talking about the operational technology, that is the OT, that's more related to manufacturing, the journey, the transformation journey. And I will specify on data because everybody knows in the room, right? Data is the next oil. We've been speaking for this about this since a decade. But just to give you one statistic, with all the automation that Siemens has around the world, right, in form of whether it is PLCs or DCSs, any control systems, only Siemens systems alone, we generate about 100 terabytes of data per day. So you can imagine that data is being generated at the shop floor. And now the important factor that I'm going to talk about is, what do you do with this data? Because your AI needs data, right? AI, the backbone of any AI system is data. And if you don't have the right foundational data elements, your AI is not going to be any powerful, right? So let me just take you a little bit back in history, in time. Siemens was a company that was formed in 1847, so we missed the first industrial revolution actually. But still, it happened in the UK, and then we were part of the second industrial revolution, the third and the fourth. Fourth being mainly, or let me say, third being the industrial revolution, which focused on automating or automation. And then came the fourth, which was digitalization. And now we can all, unanimously say that the fifth is AI, right? All right, fine. At least we have some cognizance together. But now this digitalization journey, this transformation is changing even faster. When we were sitting in the fourth revolution, we were talking about the digital twins, speeding up production, reducing time to market, etc. But then came forces like AI, which brought in something called as adaptive production, right? So we all know automated production. Now, when we are going towards the future, and I don't know, nobody has spoken about this since morning, I've been attentively listening. You all have heard about dark factories, right? So dark factory is not a factory with lights off. Yeah, it is a line that is running fully automated without any human intervention. But the humans are not on the line. That's why you could switch off the lights. But the humans are in the control room watching AI, right? So just to put in context, when you're moving towards future production, when you're talking about autonomous factory, industrial metaverse, etc., my colleague from ABB just spoke about, that journey starts with adaptive production. Yeah. And there are many organizations who are looking for adaptive production rather than making lines which are supposed to make a certain product or a mix of product, rather than that move to adaptive production. So there is a world before and there is a world after AI, right? With AI, sorry. So we all know that AI transforms industries. We all are talking about, at least we here in this forum are talking about industrial AI, looking at faster innovation, driving adaptive manufacturing. And if I take an example of automotive, we've seen what is happening in the space of the vehicles that are being launched by Tatas, the Mahindras, JSWs, everybody. They all have AI in the supply chain. They all have AI built in. And one startling example is the AI driven driver assistants, the ADAS level 1 and the level 2. Sorry. I was in a conversation with Mahindra a week back, and Anand Mahindra has actually set a goal for the organization that we need to be ADAS level 3 in India. And I think all of us know over here, to achieve ADAS level 3, you cannot have the roads, the crowd that you are seeing on the streets at the moment. It's extremely challenging. So for an Indian company to reach to ADAS level 2 itself meant challenging the unknown, meant leadership, what Madhvi ma'am spoke in the morning. So we are seeing automotive being heavily impacted with AI, and they are bringing in this AI into the supply chain. They are actually having a lot of AI driven products within the car. But now, what about companies? What about manufacturing organizations? How do they unlock the potential of AI? Now, this is a very holistic slide, and I think I spoke about this at the very beginning, and the previous speaker has also spoken about it. You have a vast amount of data coming from the real world. It is coming from your supply chains, it's coming from your machines, your production, your products are generating data, right? By taking a picture of this slide, you're also generating data, right? This data is available in various silos in the organization, in the manufacturing setup. These need to be connected. These siloed data approaches need to be connected and then given to a layer for contextualizing. Because it's very important for us to contextualize the data for any higher level systems to really act with confidence. Yeah. So, my theme in the next 12 minutes is going to be around data. So we are all going to speak about AI and AI use cases, but what about the data? How are we actually going to contextualize? How are we going to bring it in one context? So we all know the monolithic concept on the left hand side, right? We all have done it as automation engineers, yeah. You have the sensors, the DCS, the SCADA, MES, PLM. This is now no longer valid. It is moving away from this monolithic approach because data integration layer is the key for any industrial AI to work. Now the future, and often today, is the two worlds of IT OT are converging. And rather than using the word converge, I would like to use the word collaborate. Today, IT and OT must collaborate to actually bring in the real value of the data being generated in OT. And we'll talk about this a little bit more. So what I'm trying to put across to you is you're generating a lot of data from the shop floor. Your middle layer is an extremely important layer which is called as the data integration layer. The data integration layer has three components, very simple. Southbound connectivity, which is through various types of connectors that you have like OPC, OPC UA, etc. Then you have the data harmonization layer, and then you have the northbound connectivity. Although it looks very simple, but I am going to break this down to you in the next upcoming slides, because this is the most important piece to have a successful IT-OT integration at the OT layer. Now, we've got a lot of use cases around here, but I'm going to specifically talk about integrated solutions uh, and optimization for operations. And now breaking this up. Now, here is where it gets a little interesting. I spoke about the data integration layer, right? So, in the past, we have always spoken about the bottom layer, the data sources. We've discussed architectures on the data sources, but now the data integration layer has become extremely important. And this is where the interesting concept of industrial edge comes in. I'll take you a little bit back, couple of years, yeah, maybe 5 years, when the cloud revolution came into OT. There were customers who wanted to connect their manufacturing to cloud. And that's when they had a lot of challenges. They had connectivity challenges, they had data privacy issues, they had cybersecurity issues. At that very time, the industrial edge layer, it was very much there, but it was not having that compute power. Number one. Number two, it did not also have the ecosystem. Madhi ma'am spoke about the ecosystem in the morning. This is what I mean by the ecosystem. So you need a management platform, because in the OT space, you are not going to give all the data to cloud. Let's be very clear, right? Only and only if you wish to use some specific enterprise level AI ML kind of applications over that data, you're going to send data to your cloud. Otherwise, today, industrial edge is giving you that strength. It's giving you AI at the edge layer. So if you want to do any sort of vision applications, you have the inferencing possible at the edge layer. You don't need to go necessarily to the higher layers. Secondly, the industrial information hub is the important piece that allows you to contextualize the data. So it takes the time series data, it contextualizes it, and then on that data, you can put the analytics, you can put industrial AI, you can put your own software and run it at the shop floor level. You don't need to go even higher level. Now, a very important piece that I would like to mention. So I showed you the architecture on the previous slide. This slide is talking about you have the data, you have AI, you have everything with you. How do I use it? For what do I use it? So the focus has to always be use case driven. It has to be use case driven. Otherwise, you don't know your goalpost. You're always going to keep shifting your goalpost. This was a very important point which was mentioned in the morning. So the goalpost over here are the use cases which are on the top. Example, track and trace, order execution, connectivity to your MES systems, connectivity to your MOM systems. But ultimately, this data is coming from the integration layer, the data integration layer. Yeah? And this is a very, very important piece. So either you can go with a SCADA HMI kind of an option, you can go with an industrial edge option, you can go with the controller based options, etc. It depends completely on you, but it has to be use case driven. Now I'm coming to the last segment where I'm going to talk about how do you protect this data, because there's a lot of data being generated. We spoke about silos, we spoke about how to integrate it into a layer. But let's talk about defense, because security is absolutely the prime most. Yeah, we saw it on the AstraZeneca slide also, where he had something called as zero trust. I don't know if you all observed it, but I'm exactly going to talk about zero trust on the OT network. Why is zero trust very important? Is because in the past we've had classical cell protection concepts. We've been protecting the production cells, we've been protecting the machines, then we've been protecting the aggregation layer, etc. and all that. Now when we talk about standards like IEC 62443, we are talking about data flow through zones and conduits. So how do you achieve these zones and conduits? Zero trust architecture, zero trust network access allows you to do that. And I'll explain to you on the next slide also. So what we are trying to do by enriching the old cell protection concept into the zero trust architecture is we are creating, you still have the same zones, yeah, the same machines, the same aggregation layer, you have got your application layer, you've got your data center or your automation data center layer. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create conduits, and these conduits can be very specific to the data, to the protocol, to the device, and to the network. So in case if you wish to switch off the connectivity between a machine to machine, then you could do that using this architecture. And just to put it in perspective, this is a typical monolithic architecture where you can see the SCADA systems are absolutely on the top. Now, if we have the zero trust architecture in place, I have two communication paths that are on this slide. One communication path between the automation system and the SCADA layer is your typical OPC UA communication. This is one path. So my tunneler, which I'm going to connect at my SCADA system, yeah, the zero trust tunneler, that opens a path for that communication, restricted to that communication path only. And in case if my machines want to connect to each other, then there is a separate path of communication between those two machines that can happen, and it does not need to go to the aggregation layer. So these are the scalable and absolutely flexible architectures that you can achieve using zero trust. And this is a very common concept in the IT layer, and we keep hearing about this. We all use Zscaler very often. But now this has also come into the OT space. So that's it from my side. I hope we've brought the point home. So use cases, architecture, technology, and then deployment. Yeah, this is extremely important for any data integration to be very successful. And transform point-to-point complexity into streamlined data integration solutions using broker solutions like unified namespace. I think we all know this. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much. You've been a really patient audience. I have 1 minute 43 seconds, which I'm giving back to my next presenter. Thank you.